Hi, my name is Katie Guffey, and I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Wyoming, and I'm enrolled in an action research course. Prior to pursuing a graduate degree, I taught ninth grade earth and environmental science. As educators, we question what research is. It's defined as one of the many ways by which we seek answers to questions. The primary goal of educational research is to explain educational issues, questions, and processes. We usually consult sources for answers that are most convenient to us. However, these sources have the potential to be filled with problems. The sources include tradition, which are ways we have behaved in the past, authority, which uses opinions of experts that we assume know what works best, and common sense, which is the use of human reasoning as a basis for answering questions. The main problem with these sources is that they have the tendency to provide unreliable information because it is biased to some degree. This happens because it was collected in an unsystematic and subjective manner. To obtain information that is valid and reliable, we must use the scientific method. Mertler defines action research as any systematic inquiry conducted by teachers, administrators, counselors, or others with an interest in the teaching and learning process about how their particular schools operate, how they teach, and how their students learn. Action research allows teachers to study their own classrooms in order to better understand them and to be able to improve their quality effectiveness. There are several models of action research, but they each follow similar processes. They involve an observation of current practice, followed by collection and synthesis of information and data, and finally, some sort of action is taken. Mertler's process includes the following four stages: the planning stage, the acting stage, developing stage, and then last, the reflecting stage. I'm now going to tell you how to conduct an action research study within your own classroom. First, you need to identify some topic that you would like to examine in depth. When picking your topic, it is important to remember the purpose of action research, which is the desire to make things better or improve some sort of practice. You will also need to investigate a topic that is manageable. Action research studies designed and conducted by teachers should take into consideration such things as time requirements, data collection, and analysis skill level and budget limitations. Next, you will need to gather information, which includes such things as talking to other teachers, counselors, or administrators in your school. Then you will review related literature, and it will help the teacher-researcher make informed decisions about the research focus and plan. This will provide guidance for defining the problem, developing an appropriate research design, or for selecting valid techniques for collecting data. When developing a research plan, it is best to try to keep the study as simple as possible by stating only one research question. You may use quantitative, qualitative, or a mixed methods design. Just remember that action research is systematic, therefore data collection must be focused, and decisions about the various elements of research design and data collection must be determined before implementing the actual study. The fifth step includes implementing the plan and collecting data. You can observe participants involved in the process, you may conduct interviews to collect data, or you can analyze existing documents or records. Once your data has been collected, you will then need to analyze it, and it's important to remember to not be overwhelmed with this process. After the data has been analyzed, the next step is the development of an action plan. This is the goal of any action research study. The important outcome from the development of an action plan is the existence of a specific and tangible approach to trying out some new ideas as a means to solve the original problem. The last two steps include you sharing your results and reflecting on the process. You could share your results amongst your colleagues at a faculty meeting or provide written summaries of results to school boards and other administrators or parents. Action research is primarily about critical examination of one's own practice. So I'm now going to talk about the action research articles that I chose to review. They are now listed on the screen, and I'm very briefly going to summarize what I learned from each article and how I plan to implement my learning from the articles. In Devlin's article, The Evolving Classroom, I learned that it is important to provide a variety of technology teaching tools in STEM classes. As educators and students, it is important to think creatively, work in teams, and have a deep understanding for project-based learning. However, educators and students must understand that technology is a useful tool but not a replacement for human interaction. This action research study showed that the students who were given directions through a video versus an actual teacher seemed to be more engaged in the activity, and the students completed the project to specification in the allotted time, and they were more reflective on the given instructions and were more encouraged to work in their groups and think critically. More observations would need to be done on a greater scale to verify these findings, but as a teacher, having the right balance of the amount of technology use is important. In Fuentes' article, Fostering Communications Between Students Working Collaboratively, I learned that using cooperative groups in your classroom might be difficult for the first time because teachers may not be familiar with the process. However, the teacher can act as a facilitator to improve the student interactions. The article listed a few interventions, which include the teacher giving students questions to ask to guide their group's discussion, sharing comparing strategies, and listening to explanations. With this knowledge, teachers can recognize the issues that exist with a group's interactions and consistently use the appropriate interventions to encourage and improve the quality of discussion in small groups. In Worrell and Harris's article, Using Action Research to Investigate Social Networking Technologies, I learned why professionals are not using these social networking technologies of their websites. Findings from this research shows that websites are being perceived as unmonitored, so interest for its use was reduced, perceptions that the learners do not have ownership of their website, which reduce their levels of engagement and interest, and some learners just want to use social networking technologies for group-based discussions, networking, and collaborations, and then others identified the theme of wanting privacy for one-to-one gossip and chats, which is not currently on the website, and limited availabilities of others at the same time for collaboration. In Tilapo's article, At the Intersection of Leadership and Learning, I learned how to improve the balance of teachers' authority with our roles as instructors and how we can use the balance of role and authority to empower our students. For these things to happen, a teacher needs to create a course and classroom environment that is student-centered, empowered, and transformative. Teachers should set up the classroom as a problem-based learning laboratory, with the problem being the challenge of helping determine the way in which the course would unfold. It's also important to develop a common trust within the entire group, which enables the students to recognize that we truly care about their learning and are there to support them in their process. Last, flexibility of pedagogy allows developing a curriculum that helps students engage in meaningful ways with their own learning. In my fifth article by Stanulus, Finding Her Way, I learned that for a novice teacher to learn her own voice in teaching is as a result of three overarching themes, which include university preparation, formal and informal support networks, and finding and honoring her own voice. This was a collaborative action research design in which 2 university professors examined the practice of a novice during her second year of teaching. The findings revealed that the collaborative nature of this research facilitated the process of the novice identifying herself as a teacher. In Go and Sharpley's article, Toward Effective Teaching and Learning, I learned that there are 4 important factors for the development of environmental science education in primary schools. Students are encouraged to actively engage with the ideas and evidence. Students are challenged to develop meaningful understandings. Science is linked with students' lives and interests, and the classroom is linked with the broader community. The results of this study show that the teachers and students who are able to engage in meaningful environmental science education demonstrate the following 3 things. The first one being the whole staff engaging in a strategic action planning process to work towards improving science teaching and learning in their school, an enhanced view of science, which has provided the opportunity for environmental education, and there's been a staff member released from normal classroom duties for at least part of the week to provide support for teachers in their environmental science activities. These are the 6 articles that I read, and I briefly summarized them as well as what I learned and how I plan to implement these ideas within my own classroom.